We're diving into it. Lilhomie versus Grubby. Terrain stand. Let's go. So, the man, the myth, the legend, everyone's favorite Warcraft 3 streamer, everyone's favorite orc champion, Grubby. Fighting off in the bottom right. One of my personal favorite Undead players after formidable display earlier against the Night Elf Joker. Lilhomie. What can Lilhomie do? He's going for an Altar Ziggurat build. So very likely going for early ghouls, early hero. There comes the Crypt. The Graveyard will follow suit if he wants to go for Fiends. But oftentimes Undead players, they prioritize some ghouls in early hero for either harassing or early creeping. In that case, I would say it's probably early creeping. You know, you can go for these mercenary camps relatively early on. Need to be careful, though, about the Lightning Shield. But if you bait out the Lightning Shield well, you can actually solo creep it almost.
Work complete. Work complete.
Grubby, Burrows ready. Blade Master, here we go against Undeads. You sometimes end up seeing a Farseer, but not really that much. Farseer tends to be a little bit unimpactful in the late game, tends to be a little bit susceptible to the hero nuke, and the Blade Master on Terrain stand, especially with so many good items available for him. Most importantly, the Blades of Attack. Claws of Attack, sorry. That is what you want to do. Barracks coming through as well. No Voodoo Lounge so far. So no items super early, but goes for an earlier tech. Let's see, Lilhomie builds the graveyard after all, so not too many ghouls after all. Probably going for 2 or 3. 3 or 4 sometimes you see even, depending on how greedy you want to be in terms of lumber. I also love that he distributes the ghouls right over next to the graveyard already. Sometimes you see that with pro players taking a long time to redistribute, relocate their workers onto those lumber buildings. Alright, the Acolyte is trying to scout and also trying to get denied, which he successfully does. So no cheap experience for Grubby. Nicely done here as well. The creeps also dealt a little bit of extra damage onto the units. They're actually chasing down the Grunt here as well. Cheeky trolls. At first I was like, wait a minute, did Grubby already go for a mercenary? No, no, no. That's the neutral Shadow Priest. Okay. And, you know, that Shadow Priest won't let go. Circlet of Nobility, super nice. Probably the best item you can find of any green spot, because it basically helps you so much. Gives you good stats. He actually has 2 of them already. I think he bought one over at the Goblin Merchant. Selling the TP, getting 2 circlets. That's nice bonus damage for the Blade Master, but also extra mana. Very important in that case. Oh, and looks like the Death Knight with just a couple of skeletons was trying to solo creep the mercenary camp. Successfully did so. Now immediately buys a Shadow Priest for a little bit of extra healing and dispel. Needs to be careful though. And sometimes you basically see Death Knights last hitting creeps with a Death Coil, and you might be thinking like, hey, why is he doing that, man? The Orc isn't even there, so of course the Undead doesn't know, you know. And as an Undead, you have to expect the Blade Master to sometimes go for creep steals, creep jacks. So sometimes it's actually better to use a Death Coil to execute an important minion, especially the one that drops the item. Important creep to secure it. Alright, so here we go. Level 2 Death Knight, Aura at the ready. The Death Knight trying to go for the Grunt instead, because he realizes, hey, you know what? That Blade Master, I'm not going to get him, because he can go into Windwalk stance any given point. And he's trying to chase down that Grunt. Has 1 coil left in a bit, but Grubby immediately smells the pie, sends his Grunt brother into the fray to body block and prevent the Death Knight from getting the killing blow. The Death Knight not done yet, though, with the movement speed. Coming through. He's going for it. Needs to be careful, though. Needs to be careful. The Grunt is still healthy enough, though. Oh, my goodness. Is this Knight going to get surrounded now? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's the oldest trick in the world. The Grunt is blocking one entrance. The other Grunt is blocking the other entrance. So the Death Knight is completely locked in and walled in. So greedy. Lilhomie, so greedy. Even if he ends up getting the Grunt, is it worth it? Oh, my goodness. Grubby with a perfect block. Says, you shall not pass here, mister.
We're under attack.
Also in range of the burrow for the most part. Yeah, that's indeed XD. I don't think that was worth it. That's the oldest trick in the world. And all of a sudden, the Death Knight, from being the hunter, he becomes the hunted. And I think at this point he might have actually used the... little bit of banter going on here. Friendly banter, I like it. At this point, I think he might have actually as well TP'd earlier to save HP. Because he could have anticipated that Grubby is too good to fall for it or mess up the surround, mess up the body blocks. So he could have saved time and health by TPing earlier, perhaps. Yeah. Like, either in this situation you die on purpose, so you can revive the DK and save the TP, or you TP at once. I think he wasted a little bit of momentum here. But anyways, let's see how it goes. The Blade Master, strong inventory right now. A little bit of bonus damage, Gloves of Haste, nice attack boost, and also the Ring of Protection +3. Which, especially against Undead, I think the armor comes into play a lot. It doesn't help you against the nuke, mind you, but it helps you against all the other damage, so indirectly it nerfs the nuke too. When you don't take as much damage from the units anymore, you can actually withstand the nuke a little bit better. Alright, going for his own mercenary camp right now with the help of the Shadow Hunter. Pretty good. Level 2 Beastry. Now against Undead, you know, the matchup is usually very passive if you don't have an Undead chasing a Grunt all the way into the Orc base. But usually it's more like both players trying to creep and both players sending some prayers over to the RNG to get good items. For the Undead, of course, certain auras might be sick. Although you cannot really hope for auras too much on Terrena Stand. Tome of Intelligence, please pick it up. Thank. Is he waiting for the Lich to pick it up or what? Okay. There we go. Oh, here comes Nikoro. Grubby's Blade Master smells something. He does have a greater healing though, the Death Knight that is, so he could force it out though. Goes for the Fiend instead. Also realized that if he keeps attacking the Death Knight, the Frost Armor is going to slow him down significantly. So he's basically draining the DK both in health and mana by focusing the different Fiends that didn't have Frost Armor. Nice Talisman of Evasion, you can see the value there. If you dodge a crit, that has to be the best feeling in the world. Undead, by the way, going straight through to tier 3, selling a couple of items that he doesn't need. He goes for an orb on the Lich, I would presume, who already has Claws of Attack. Grubby trying to bring up his Shadow Hunter to level 3 and 4. Super important here. And here we've got it. At this point, if I was Lilhomie, I would never feel safe. See? I would always expect the Blade Master to be close, so I would have actually invested into some dust to keep the Blade Master visible for some time, because at this point you can expect the Blade Master to buy time for the rest of the Orc army to get some creeping done and to help the Shadow Hunter to get some levels. Nice kiting here, by the way, by Lilhomie. Getting the Lightning Shield Sasquatch all the way in his base with the help of the Black Citadel. Kind of nice. And Grubby also not really getting as much value as he could have. But, you know, he's keeping the Undead in his own half of the map. Super nice. We see a big invul as well. Fantastic against Undead. Any form of burst protection is huge. Now, Raiders are joining the fray. We see a TC. Always... sorry. Excuse me. Always great against Undeads. Because of Stomp, right? With the Stomp, if you hit it on the DK and focus someone else, you can get a juicy hero kill. If you hit it into an abundance of Fiends, the Undead's DPS will be crippled severely. Oh, look at this Blade Master. Always harassing, always distracting. And since there is no detection, there is no dust, he can continue to do that. Meanwhile, we see an ambitious creeping attempt by Grubby. Despite him knowing... Ah, never mind, he's not going for the camp. I was going to say, despite him knowing that the Undead player is nigh, he still went for one of the most dangerous camps on the map. Alright. Here we go, catches a Banshee. Banshees, really cool to see, by the way. They're so valuable. Like, if they get a curse off on the Blade Master, on the TC, that's so much damage potentially negated. 25% miss chance. So huge. I think a lot more Undeads are basically picking up the Banshees right now. It has always been good, but a lot of people just didn't build them. They focused on... Ooh, that is a Dark Ranger coming into now. The Undead rotating over to the tavern, buying the
We're under attack.
Dark Ranger, which is very useful with the Cylance early on. Especially the TC needs to be kept in check all the time, so he can't stomp into the army. And we have 1 destroyer, 2 destroyers, zapping the mana from each other. Okay, I think the Undead was expecting some expansion attempts, perhaps. But he's making a move. Lilhomie marching out, trying to contain Grubby in his own base. In the meantime, we see another Acolyte being built, and I think he's using this aggression as a momentum, as a moment of distraction to maybe build an expansion. Orb of Lightning, by the way, turns the Blade Master into an anti-air machine as well. And the first destroyer in trouble, the Kodo almost falling. Gets saved though with a speed scroll, very nice. Second Kodo already munching and crunching onto that fiend. And I think this might not go so well for the Undead. His destroyer is constantly being pressured. The Death Knight on low mana, gets even hexed so he can't coil. Wonderful. Now he's going to have to rely on the Banshees doing some work here. As you can see, large parts of the army of Grubby are already hexed. Cursed, by the way, sorry. But I think the Banshee's now out of mana. Yep, very low on mana, 35. That's not good enough. And we see the heroes of the Undead doing work. A little bit of time is needed for Grubby so he can replenish his lost army, or his hurt army. By the way, that destroyer kill was huge! Gets the Banshee. And now it looks like the lowest hero, the most vulnerable hero, is once again threatening it. Look at those hexes! Look at those hexes, ladies and gentlemen. Perfect timing. Just when a hero is about to fall, you hex the DK so he can't save them. And although Undead heroes are very strong, mind you, Lilhomie should retreat now. He's not even building the expansion. He has enough gold, but he can't because he's so occupied and busy microing. Because Grubby is so relentless. And that is a level up for the TC. He stuns the Lich now, level 2 aura. Sorry, level 1 aura on the level 2. The Lich is down. And I think that's it. Lilhomie, for the second time when we cast him, unfortunately, he doesn't seem to be able to win. He wanted a little bit too much. 192 crit. Top decked and wrecked here. Grubby is slicing his way to victory. No more TP. GG, well played. And that's it. Wowee. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a valiant attempt here by Lilhomie. But in the end, going all the way into Grubby's base might have been a little bit too ambitious there. Especially since he didn't seem to have the capacity to also build his expansion at the same time. So Grubby flexing his muscles here, really showing us what an orc can do when you have a strong Blade Master.